What if one day all black people decided not to go to work unless they work for a black-owned company or a non-profit, and not to buy anything unless they were buying from a black-owned business? Removing nearly $1 trillion from the economy overnight would have quite an impact. Do you think change would happen? Do you think that negotiations would open and be taken seriously? What if the next day all black people removed all their money from non-black owned banks, removed their music and content from all non-black owned establishments, and canceled all memberships to non-black owned services and providers? What would we be able to provide for ourselves? This is the black agenda.
And honesty impels me to admit that America has broad racist elements still alive. Racism is still existing in American society in many areas of the society, North and South. And the other thing is that there has never been a single, solid, determined commitment of large segments of white America on the whole question of racial equality. I think we have to see that vacillation has always existed, ambivalence has always existed, and this to me is the so-called white backlash. It's merely a new name for an old phenomenon. I see the white backlash as a continuation of the same ambivalence and vacillation of white America on the whole question of racial justice that has existed since the founding of our nation.
When people when people look around.
Just open up your eyes, ain't no surprise. They tattoo tears.
When people
And you will realize, no disguise. They tattoo years. Was probably only 10, embarked upon a journey in the bushes with the men. Up in the wilderness, doing a wild thing. What he didn't know is the ship and road was waiting that he didn't have been. America began to unify with the red man. Had no love lost for the pilgrims. Pilgrims don't play fair. All they wanna give for reparations is welfare. Found my balance along the way. Just in time for Judgment Day. We can make it, shine a star. Just remember who we are. You will cry your eyes of these tattooed tears. You will rise. You will recognize you're the bride. You're the bride. All the ups and downs and the deeds that you've done. Spirit, remember everything's done. Know that the love is really just begun. Shine like the sun, king of the one. Artistry all over me. Deeper than anything you ever see. Only you know the meaning of the young. This is your call. This is my call.
I, like you, am very proud that a black man sits in the White House. But I also understand very clearly, and we should understand that it is the White House. And until we exercise power to force that house to address our agenda. Now remember, our dear sister Julianne Malveaux mentioned A. Philip Randolph. Man, that was long time ago. And the cry was jobs and justice. In the March on Washington in 1963, the cry was jobs and justice. In the 20-year anniversary of the March on Washington, the cry was jobs and justice. We are now in 2010. And what is the cry? Jobs and justice. Well, wait a minute. How long? Not long. Are you going to sit around begging white people to do for us what we have the power to do for ourselves?
Where we have moved from a struggle for decency, which characterized our struggle for 10 or 12 years, to a struggle for genuine equality.
I think black people have had to fight so hard for equality while white people were building equity. We had opportunities in this country to address equity, and we never did it. In fact, we went the opposite way. In the Great Depression, we formed the Federal Housing Administration, and it specifically wrote into federal guidelines for housing that black people couldn't get loans to buy their houses. The wealth of this country has been built on equity, right? After World War II, GIs came back together. And when it was found that the Federal Housing Administration was unconstitutional, they wrote covenants into deeds. So Levittown in Long Island got built with money from the government for GIs that would get low-cost loans, and those people got to build equity. But black soldiers who had just as good a job or just as good a credentials could not get loans. And then there was redlining, and then there were zoning changes. This is not happenstance. And you can't build a ghetto and then suddenly decide, okay, that's not here anymore, but we are going to police the edge of it, and we're never going to tear it down. Because when you quarantine people, you cut off the economic tributaries that exist to feed that area.
All over America, they drew lines on maps. They shaded neighborhoods with large numbers of people of color red. They used specifically racialized language, saying that neighborhoods were hazardous to lend in because they were, quote unquote, infiltrated by Negroes or threatened with Negro encroachment. The word melting pot was used as a pejorative because you wouldn't want people of different races living side by side, according to the government at that time. And now here comes Michael Bloomberg, all these years later, saying that the end of this practice, which happened, by the way, in 1968 with the Fair Housing Act, was responsible for the Great Recession. It's laughable. I mean, what we did have during the boom was we had predatory lending by banks targeting people of color, which resulted in them being dispossessed when the housing market busted. Loan officers at Wells Fargo testified in court that they were making quote-unquote ghetto loans to mud people during the housing bubble, and Wells Fargo paid a large federal settlement over that. I mean, that is the kind of activity that led to the housing bust, not the end of redlining.
Won't you help me sing these songs of freedom, 'cause all I ever have is redemption song.
I just went to do some hunting for my village. I did not swim the waters to get to the new land. As I chase my prey, I'm being chased down. I see I'm now the new prey. I pray that to get locked down with shackles all on my ankles and wrists. Shackles on my throat, tied to others, ain't no joke, that's what I see. Now have another on the boat. Me on the other ship is my inner family. No communicating with the brother next to me, because he's Mandingo and I'm the Fulani. So I yell out to see who's down with my tribe. In a Mr. Charlie with his bull whip.
Big bad boat, float a bull whipping brothers. Brothers dying from boats older or from jumping over. While everyone's in pain, Mr. Charlie's being a raper. 3 hours from his wife, so he does another sister. Now I'm laying in a new land. New hair and all this stuff in an African auction. Shipping me here and there to other weak soul men. Whip a rifle on me and says, pick my cotton.
I didn't choose to ride the boat. I was forced up on the boat. It was cracked crazy up on the boat. An African's life was left on my lap. I didn't choose to ride the boat. I was forced up on the boat. It was cracked crazy up on the boat. On the boat.
The boat.
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 The boat. The boat.
Foundational
Black Americans.
Americans.
Foundational Black Americans.
Foundational Black Americans. I was born here in this country. My parents were born here. My grandparents were born here. My great-grandparents were born here. One side of my family is Cherokee, so they were here before my enslaved ancestors were brought here. So my DNA in this land goes all the way back to the original. Are you Jamaican, Nigerian, Liberian, Caribbean, Somalian, Ethiopian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, or any other immigrant with black or brown skin? Have you identified yourself as any race other than black on public records, documents, applications, etc.? You are not a foundational Black American. We are family, but we do not share the same lineage or bloodline connection to this country, to this land. Foundational Black Americans have a unique experience.
Because I think you have to make a distinction between the people who are genuinely and absolutely committed in the white community on the question of racial equality. And I must confess that I think they're in a very small minority. I think the vast majority of white Americans will go but so far. It's a kind of installment plan for equality.
So that leaves me with a question. This is a question you can ask your friends and comrades and lovers, associates, co-workers, colleagues. How do you feel about reparations? Money was used to commodify human beings. And so only money can right that wrong. So depending on how they answer, you know who you're dealing with.
We got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rates, so to speak. Didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. And now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now, I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on many other things, but we can't get rid of slums and poverty without it costing the nation something.
The mouth of the wise teacheth knowledge, but the lips of the fool talketh foolishness. Almighty, me not like them hypocrites, me not like them parasites. Them scheme by day, them plot by night, striving on the plight of the poor and the sufferers. Oh, Jah know them a backstabbers, Jah know them a bloodsuckers. I can't take them vampires, cause I'm a free up fighter. I am a free up fighter. I am a free up fighter. I am a free up fighter. I'm on fire.
People from the center of the earth. People from the center of the
In the
earth.
book I talk about the famous Terman study that was done in California. And this is a study done in the 20s, began in the 20s in California. He does this thing where he gives an IQ test to 250,000 California school children. And he basically identifies the top 0.1%. So kids with IQs of 140 plus, genius level, essentially. And he tracks those kids for the rest of their lives, for 50 years. He thinks what he's done is identified the cohort who will turn out to be the leaders in academia, in industry, in the people who will end up running all the organizations and being the top politicians and the top intellectuals, right? So he follows them for over the course of 20 and 30 years. And 20 and 30 years in, he realizes actually it's not true at all. There is a small group that does very well. The top 15% do actually occupy positions of real prominence in society. Then there's a big group in the middle who have pretty average lives. And remember, these are kids with adults with genius level IQs. And the majority of them they're kind of like have moderately successful professional lives. And then there is a chunk at the bottom who are by any measure failures, whose lives turn out by any kind of occupational yardstick to be massively disappointing, who do not seem to make use of their extraordinary human potential at all. And the question that Terman has to wrestle with is, why did that group fail? What's the difference between this group who did beautifully well and this group who did so poorly at the bottom? And he realizes in the end that the answer is really, really simple. And that is that the kids who did best, these genius kids who ended up succeeding in the world, were the ones who came from wealthy households. What he was saying, in other words, that even if you endow a child with a brain that is a 1 in a billion brain, that is not sufficient to ensure the success of that child. That poverty is such a powerful constraint on capitalization that it can reduce that genius child to a lifetime of worse than mediocrity, a lifetime of really profound disappointment.
It's mixed
seize the day, the highest praise, unity. I care, you care, we care, can we just get it done? I care, you care, we care, can we just get it done? I care, you care, we care, can we just get it done? Now I care, you care, we care, can we just get it done? Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Can we all just get along in a perfect place, having a perfect day, blissfully striving, our loved ones just thriving. Warm sunny days, beautiful moonlit skies by the ocean side, peace and mind for all tomorrows. Erase all the pain, only joy and love to gain. Make a wish come true. Make this life easy. Make it all easy. Make it all easy. Make it all easy. Make it all easy. Make it all